Hi, I'm Zach, and this is Challenger Vedic Astrology and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. So, today we're talking about why has Donald Trump gone bankrupt 6 times? And if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out me and the channel. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, the links to those are in the description box and the comments below. Okay, so we talked about sleepy Joe Biden. Now we're talking about the orange buffoon, Donald Trump. It's okay. The next one will be a good leader, I swear. We'll get there. So, Donald Trump. We're going to talk about a few things with this one. We're going to talk about some of the lighter themes, like why he's gone bankrupt 6 times. Not personally, but his businesses have. And we're going to talk about a few other things. Why he's engaged in so much criminal activity. We're going to talk about why, he instigated the January 6th riot at the Capitol. And we're going to talk about the sexual assault allegations against him. I'll save that one for the end of the video for anybody that wants to click off. But let's get into it. Let's talk about Donald Trump. Okay, so here we have the birth chart of Donald Trump. So on the left, we have the Ascendant. The birth chart. He's a Leo Ascendant with Moon in Scorpio and Sun in Taurus. And the navamsa, he's a Gemini Ascendant. Okay. Now, we're definitely going to be looking at the navamsa. Not just for strength of planets, but to look at a person's later life. The navamsa is a person's later life from their early to mid 30s until the end of their life. Can never ignore the navamsa. So, Donald Trump. Why has he had so many failed marriages? We're going to start there. And it's tied to bankruptcy. So, we'll get there. So, first off, we're talking about business and relationships. The 7th house comes into play. 7th house, 7th lord. Okay. So, nothing sits in the 7th house. But one thing we do see, the Ascendant Nakshatra is Magha at 6 degrees, 53 arc minutes. So, the Cusp Nakshatra, the heart of his 7th house, becomes Satabisha Nakshatra. Satabisha is a nakshatra of crime, of love triangles. So, we see he could have cheated on a spouse. We see he could have committed criminal acts when it comes to business. The 7th lord goes into the 12th house of losses with his Venus. So, Venus is the planet of love and relationships. Both of them are in the house of loss. So, he's had 3 marriages. He's gone bankrupt 6 times in business. And the nakshatra they're in, Punarvasu. Punarvasu is tied to repeated failures. I'd say 3 marriages and going bankrupt 6 times in business is definitely repeatedly failing. In the navamsa chart, 7th lord, Jupiter, goes into the 3rd house in Magha. So we see later in life, his spouses would be regal, royal, kingly. They'd have, ego issues. They'd be prideful, maybe a little arrogant. But yeah, so we clearly see, though, his birth chart alone tells the story. That he would have those repeated failures in marriage and in business. Now, let's talk about the January 6th riots. Why would that happen? Well, his ascendant nakshatra is Magha. So, what does Magha sound like? Magha. The nakshatra of Magha. Sounds like MAGA, right? MAGA. Make America great again. Even the sound of this nakshatra carries over. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in, what culture you're a part of. These nakshatra sounds show up. Even the names of the nakshatra repeat. Magha is a nakshatra tied to the ancestral throne. Tied to royalty, kings, queens. Modern day, the presidency. So we see his ascendance in Magha. His Mars is in Magha. Okay, so fighting, tied to a throne. Mars is fighting. What would he fight for? A throne. His ascendant lord, Sun, goes into the 10th house. Sun is the king. It's in the 10th house of government. 10th house is federal government, national government. 4th house is local government. In his 4th house, his moon sits there with Ketu. So with Ketu shows he would act without thinking. Ketu is headless. It's with his moon, his mind. So he wouldn't think clearly with Ketu being there. It's in the nakshatra of Jyeshta. Jyeshta is tied to Indra. Indra was not supposed to be king of the gods. He was the younger sibling. But Indra overtook his elder sibling Varuna and became the king of the gods. You see that same theme repeat with Zeus in Greek mythology, where it was supposed to be Hades. Hades was the eldest. He was supposed to be king. So, you see these themes repeat no matter what culture. But, Jyeshta, wanting to overtake someone else. Like, no, I'm the leader. 4th house is a person's homeland. So, without thinking, he would try to overtake the homeland from someone else. Now, his Mercury is in Ardra in the 11th house. Mercury's communication. His communication would be angry because it's in Ardra. It's in the 11th house of the masses. The masses would get angry with him and for him. In the navamsa chart, the 7th lord of the masses is in Magha. Once again, the ancestral throne. It's in the 3rd house of media, of the internet. All his tweets to his followers that led to the January 6th riots. Now, to go along with the criminal activity we saw there could have been in his businesses, his moon is in Uttarabhadrapada with Ketu in Uttarabhadrapada. Once again, headless, not thinking clearly. Uttarabhadrapada is a nakshatra tied to criminals. It either shows criminality or spirituality. It's tied to hidden people. So, hidden people tend to either be very spiritual or criminal. When a planet in Uttarabhadrapada is with malefics, it leans to the criminal side. Benefics will be spiritual. So in his case, It's with Ketu, a malefic. So we see he would lean towards criminality. Now, there's another trick here that I'm going to show you all. For this, we're going to switch to his enlarged birth chart. Okay. So, his ascendant's Leo. What I'm going to show you all here is a little technique where we use a Gemini technique here called padas. So, a pada is basically the energy of a house. So we're looking for the energy of the first house. This is something that's going to be the pada of the first house, the energy of the first house. And what this shows us is something called the Aruda Lagna. So first I'm going to show you how we see it. So you look at where the Lord of a sign goes from that house, where the Lord of the house goes. So we're looking at Sun. Leo is his ascendant. His Sun moves into the 10th house, 10 places away. So we count 10 places from that house. So directly across is 7, 8, 9, 10. So we get Aquarius. And we make that the ascendant. This is the Aruda Lagna, how the world would see him. So, the cusp of this, because his ascendant degrees are 6 degrees, 53 arc minutes in Leo. While the cusp here becomes Satyvisha. People would see him as a criminal. It's in the sign of Aquarius. People would view him as eccentric. The Aruda Lagna is how you are viewed by society. So that's one thing we see with this. But what else do we see? Well, Moon and Ketu are now in the 10th house of national government in Jeshta. Headless when it comes to wanting to overtake someone, to be the leader, to be the one in charge. But why I really wanted to show you all this is now the 3rd and 10th Lord. 10th Lord is government. 3rd Lord, 3rd house is media, communication. They are now sitting in the 7th house of the masses in Magha Nakshatra. So the masses, through his communication, would fight over an ancestral throne. And that's how we see this with Donald Trump. That's how we see that, he would commit these criminal acts. Now, back to the birth chart and the navamsa chart. Oh, wrong one. Hold up. Here we go. Okay. So, here we are. Back to the birth chart and the navamsa chart. Now, we're going to get into the dark subject of why Donald Trump has committed at least one sexual assault. Now, for those thinking that I am wrong in this, well, he's already paid out a settlement in a civil case. I believe due to statute of limitations with a woman who he sexually assaulted. So, we're working under the assumption that this is fact. And when we look at this, we'll see it is. So, if you want to click off, now's your chance. 3, 2, 1. And now we're going to get into it. Okay, so Moon and Ketu are in Jeshta. Jeshta is the nakshatra of Indra. Indra, in the mythological story, raped a sage's wife. So right off the bat, we see that he would be overly sexual. This is his moon, his mind, his emotions. It's with Ketu, a malefic. He would do this without thinking. Remember, moon shows how a person thinks. If it's afflicted by malefics, a person will not think in a good way. They'll think in a malefic way. It's aspected by Mars, which, yes, would provide some protection for the house, but it's not helping moon at all. And remember, this is a debilitated moon in Scorpio. He'd have psychological issues with moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is the sign of the original 8th house of psychology. So, we see he'd be headless and that he would commit this kind of act. Also, Sun and Rahu are in Mrigashira. Rahu is a person's obsession, their desire. Sun is his ascendant lord. Him. In Mrigashira. Mrigashira is the nakshatra of stalking. In the mythological story, Brahma, the god of creation, wanted to create more life. His daughter had ran from him in the form of a doe. He chased after her in the form of a stag, a buck, and was going to rape her. So we see once again this theme playing out in his chart. In the navamsa chart, we see his ascendant nakshatra is Mrigashira. Once again, Mrigashira is stalking. His Mercury, his ascendant lord in the navamsa chart, is in Purva Bhadrapada. Now, by itself, this wouldn't show this. But with what we've seen, with his moon being afflicted, it's conjunct Ketu in the birth chart and the navamsa. It's being hit by Mars in the birth chart as well. Mercury is in Purva Bhadrapada. This is a nakshatra tied to insanity. Tied to a person not having a mental clarity. To having a shattered mind. So we see that could be there. That he wouldn't think clearly. This is the nakshatra of chaos. Now, also, his moon and Ketu are in Uttar Bhadrapada. I've already said how this can show criminality. Being a criminal. And remember, the cusp of his Aruda Lagna. How the world would see him. Becomes Satabisha. Satabisha is a nakshatra of criminals as well. Alright. But yeah, this has been Donald Trump's chart. Yeah, definitely corrupt. Definitely a criminal. Definitely, has failed numerous times in business and relationships due to that 7th lord being in the 12th house of loss. And Punarvasu, nakshatra of failures. And Venus being in the 12th house there as well. But yeah. So, next time, we're going to talk about a good leader for a change. Might be kind of nice as a change of pace, right? Alright. But, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out me on the channel. If you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, the links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.